maybe 10 minutes. And then I would go in the house and I would work on my dishes and stuff, and I would watch them, and I would go out there again before they started fighting. And I'd say, wow, you guys are getting along so well, can I play with you for a little bit? And I would play with them for like 10 minutes. And then I would go in and I would work on my dishes and make dinner, and I would go out again before they started fighting. And within 2 or 3 days, they were getting along all day long. And I actually had way more time where I was able to do my stuff, because the fighting was taking up so much of my time, yelling at them and engaging with them when they were fighting, whereas when I was making sure to just spend these brief moments with them before they were fighting, I had much bigger spans in between, and it got longer and longer to where they weren't fighting anymore. So that's part of this recognizing or training them, is to hang out, spend time, reinforce when they're getting along, when they're cooperating, when they're contributing. Little kids aren't capable of just self-entertaining all day. Well, a few are, but most aren't. So it is important that you're engaging in some way, or getting them to help you, giving them things that they can do while you're trying to get your stuff done. Great question. Anybody else? Somewhere else you want to go on the chart? Power. Okay, so let's do a few ideas of the power. And I'll just tell you, for the goal of power, I have a 2-hour workshop, and I think that's what I probably didn't do it because we didn't have 2 hours, but I have a 2-hour workshop just on dealing with power struggles, because it's something that there's so many ideas for how to get out of power struggles. So we'll just talk for 5 minutes about a couple of these. Don't fight and don't give in. So the attitude when you're dealing with a child in the goal of power is, I'm not going to fight with you, and I'm not going to just say I'm out of here either and let you do what you want. It's I'm present, I'm available, we're going to figure out how to work this out together. Okay? So it's like if you were in a tug of war with somebody, you're going to drop your end of the tug of war, but you're going to hang out and stay and try to figure out what else to do than playing tug of war. Okay, so that's the don't fight and don't give in. Offering choices. This is a great way to get out of a power struggle. You can say to a little 3 or 4-year-old or 2 or 3-year-old, do you want to wear your red jammies or your blue ones? And they'll be like, oh, I want to wear my red ones. And they'll get their red ones on. But if you say to your 5 or 6-year-old, do you want to wear your red jammies or your blue ones? What do they say?
I want pink ones.
Pink. None. It's not empowering enough. So the choices need to be age appropriate. With young children, 2 or 3 years old, very simple, concrete choices, no more than 2, making them very easy. As the children get older, the choices need to get more expansive, more empowering. So with your 5 or 6-year-old, you might want to say, do you want to get your jammies on doing cartwheels to your room or hopping on one foot? I mean, that might jazz a 5 or a 6-year-old, right? So offering choices, making choices be age appropriate. A lot of times I would give a couple of choices. I'll say, you can do this or you can do this. And then they'd say, well, I want to do this. And I'll say, no, you need to do this instead. Cheating, you can't do that. So if you offer the 2 choices, you have to support them at 100%. So what happens when okay, there's 2 things that happen. Sometimes I put the choices out without thinking enough, right? And so that's why it gets mucked up like that. So I could reel it back in. I could say, you could do this or this. Oh, you know what? I realize I'm not going to be able to support that one. I'm going to take it back and do a different one. Or I'll put the choices out and I'll go, oh, I don't really want them to choose this one. And then they choose it, and I'm just going to support them at 100%. I'll say, okay, I'll support you in that, and we'll give it 3 days and see how it works out. And if it doesn't work out, then we'll do this other one instead. So that's how I kind of console myself in my messed up choice giving. Okay? Make sure both choices are okay with you. So you don't want to say you can stop coloring on the wall or not. You can color on the paper or not at all. All right, so that's offering choices. Great way when you're power struggling with your child. And the reason that this works, you're not letting them get away with anything. It's working because it's giving them an appropriate way to be powerful. See, right now they're being powerful inappropriately by defying you. And what you're looking for is a way to give them their sense of, because inside they feel powerless. They don't know how to feel powerful, but they know if they defy you and you get all crazy, they're going to be powerful. So you need to give them some way to feel powerful, and that's why this works. Because when you offer them choices, now it's like, oh, I get to choose something here. And so it's giving them an appropriate sense of being powerful, which is related to another idea, which is find useful ways for them to feel valuable and powerful. So in that power struggle, you could say, how could I give my child even more power right here in this power struggle we're having? Now, you're not going to think of that first. When you're power struggling with a child, the last thing that's going to occur to you is to say, oh, how can I give you more power right now while you're defying me? But it's one of the most helpful questions. If you can get there emotionally and say, how can I give this child appropriate power right now? It fabulously corrects power struggles. Let me give you an example. A mom was getting in power struggles with her son all the time because he was getting in all the kitchen stuff, taking it out of the drawers, drooling on it, leaving it all over the place. They would be in power struggles all day. Get out of the kitchen, get out of the drawers, and all day long. So she said, how can I give him more power right now? What did she do? Gave him his own drawer. He got his own name on it. They went and collected all his stuff that got to be in his drawer, and now he's got his own drawer and he doesn't go into all the other stuff. So how can I give my child more power right now? And this works the best when it's related to however they're misbehaving. So it shouldn't be something random, not related to whatever you're fighting with them over.
You're fighting with them just to take a bath. How do you do that? Like, I want to take a bath. No. You need to take a bath. I don't want to. I'll do it later. 5 minutes later? 5 minutes later, take a bath. No.
Okay, so how can I give this child more power right now?
I did. I gave her more power
Do a
by
bubble
giving her
bath.
5 minutes. 5 minutes. It's like, no.
Okay, how can I give the child more power?
Offering a certain toy to go in the bath?
Okay, so do you want to take the whatever in the bath? I'm thinking offering choices. I mean, everything that's coming to my head is offering choices. Do you want to take your bath now or now?
You want to take it? I thought it was like, in 5 minutes, yes, so I gave her the timer, and I go count till 5, hit start, and then it goes off, get in the bath. That worked one time.
Oh, good.
Didn't work the next time.
Good. Okay. Well, again, I mean, kids, sometimes it needs to grow. So the first time you said, okay, do it in 5 minutes. So the second time it would be, so last time I set the timer for 5 minutes for you to get in the bath. This time, if you set the timer, what amount of time do you want to set within reason, and see if that works. Giving them more power might look like, do you want to, take your shower at this time of day or that time of day, or do you want to wake up in the morning and take it if that's an option? If it's not an option, you can't offer it. But just trying to figure out ways to give them more power within the situation. And it's not easy to think of all the time, but keep thinking if there's an answer here, I'm going to try to find it.
Well,
And
that's what
also,
I'm trying to do. It's like, get out of bed. It's time to get ready for school.
is that your 5-year-old?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
You have to.
I like to give them alarm clocks when they're old enough to learn how to use alarm clocks. And that, again, that's empowering. And the empowering part is to give them the timers, to give them the alarm clocks, and show them how to set them and use them. Because that's the empowering part, is when they get to set them and they get to use them. So trying to transition out of you doing it to them doing it. But you need to guide that so that they do an appropriate amount of time. So there's definitely a transition there that you want to get in. But it's great that you're working on this now, because I get parents who come to my classes with teenagers that they're still trying to get out of bed. And it's like, are you kidding me? I mean, your kids really need to be up and going because they need to be to school on time, not because you need them to be in school on time. If it's your agenda, if you're carrying the responsibility for them getting to school on time, they don't have to. And so, turning that responsibility over is something that I feel really strongly about. That, it's you choose not to go to school, it's nothing to me, is kind of my attitude, even though it is something to me, that I don't want to be more responsible than them. So when I achieve this with my kids, what it looks like in the morning is, hurry up, Mom, I gotta be to school or I'm gonna be late. That's what I like.
That's my 9-year-old, my 5-year-old.
Okay, well, keep working. They're all different, so just something, they each take different. I know with my middle daughter, who we were talking a little before class, who was more challenging for me, I had to grow, and I had to change, and I had to learn different things. Because what worked with my oldest one, and actually my youngest one also, didn't work with her. And really, she was here to teach me things that caused me to grow. One of the things that I learned from her was patience.
Yeah.
I didn't have I didn't have patience before Michelle. So she taught me patience. Okay, let me see what else is on here with the power that we might talk about. Oh, I said give an appropriate way to be powerful. So being kind and firm. I talk about this a lot in the Redirecting Children's Behavior class, and it's an idea where when you discipline, you can't be just firm, just a disciplinarian, and you can't be just kind, which is kind of like permissiveness. You have to engage both being firm and kind at the same time. So being loving, yet setting limits and following through. And that's going to be really important as you deal with power struggles, is to be able to maintain that firmly standing with the limits or what I expect, and I love you, and I'm going to hang out, and we're going to sit here and keep working at this until we figure it out, and not losing it. So I am kind of shortchanging you a little bit on that because I do have exercises and all that stuff. So hopefully the NFL will be doing a redirecting class next year, and I teach the 15-hour class out of this book, and it's Redirecting Children's Behavior, and I have these books up here if you want to look at them. In the back is an index of possible, normal, annoying behaviors by age. So if you just want to come up and just take a peek in the back and just see that most of the behaviors your kids are doing are normal. It's not that you're doing anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with your kids. And at the same time, if you don't want to go crazy, continuing to look at parenting education. And I've got a lot of books up here and different resources, CDs. I also sell MP3s on my website. So I have the Power Struggle Workshop on MP3, and I have the kids fighting, sibling fighting and sibling rivalry on MP3, how to build your child's self-esteem, taking the hassles out of homework, and I have one other one. Oh, what to do when your kids are driving you crazy. So all those are 1.5 to 2 hour workshops that I've recorded that you can purchase online and listen to, and those are great ways that you can get more of these ideas to do different things with your kids. So I just want to thank you all for being here tonight. I really appreciate the time that you took. And if you have any questions, I can chat with you after. And I have books up here that I sell, and the NFL will let you know if they schedule a class next year, because that'd be really fun if we did a class next year on the Redirecting Children's Behavior. So thank you all for being here.